Well, a very, very happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of the TNC Sports Talk. My name is Justin. Today is November 24th of 2025. It is Thanksgiving week, and our schedule is going to be a little bit shorter for you guys. So let me just kind of break that down for you. We are expected to have a podcast published today, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but we are going to take our holiday time and spend that with the family. Therefore, we will be out of commission for the back end of the week. We'll have a 4 day off weekend. And you know what? I encourage you guys, whatever you guys are doing, to stop what you're doing and enjoy some time this Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of crazy stuff has gone on this year. For me, it's time to take a step back, look at what we have accomplished this past year and celebrate it and just reflect, giving our thanks. And man, I got to be honest, I got a lot of things to be thankful for. Gonna share some of those things over the next few days, but the first thing I'm gonna be thankful for, to be honest, and I wanted to talk about this, it's going to be because it's actually just got published uh earlier today, and that is a video has been released on YouTube under the Enlightened Studios Incorporation. I'll put on the link to the video in the descriptions below, but it's for a theater production called Dinner with the Few Sides of Drama. And this is a runoff classic film or production play. And I have all the information. I don't know if I have it right in front of me, but it was a production play that was done back in August. And, Terry brought up to me, this was before I was out of podcasting. I just couldn't stay up to date with it. I was struggling. And so, Terry, who I've worked with in security several years ago, has always kept in touch, kind of communicated with him when I started podcasting in 2021. Kind of took some of his films and production plays, and he's kind of came to me and said, "Hey, let's conduct interviews." And so I've done interviews for productions and whatnot for Enlightened Studios, and whatever project he has to come up, he has coming up. I've always made myself available. Well, earlier this summer, he comes my way. He says, "Look, we have a list of interviews heading our way, and um, I'd like you to get some interviews done." Now, keep in mind, I was out of production. I didn't have any subscriptions. I didn't have any services, and getting back into it, a lot of things have changed. I like StreamYard, and that's what I've always used. But unfortunately, their prices have kind of gone up a little bit higher for my cup of tea. So I canceled that. I was kind of really out of it. Kind of, this was a transition from a sports talk channel to a gaming channel. And I really didn't have much of an interest to go back and, restart a podcast. I've always wanted to, this is my field that I've always wanted to do, but it's just there was a lot of complications in between. So when Terry comes up to me with this project of, hey, I want to do interview our cast members. I also want to broadcast live if possible from the location. How can I say no? I always enjoyed it. Always, he takes great care of me every time we do this. And so I go out, I go out there, and when I go out there, Terry comes up to me and says, "Listen, we have a couple issues with our sounds and light guy, and I'm just wondering, he's asking me if there's any way I could help out and support, fill in wherever, whatever is needed to help make this production a success." And I agree. I have absolutely zero experience of tech or lighting and stuff like that. And so I come into this and I'm learning a lot. I'm willing to put in, it becomes I'm putting the production first over the broadcasting. I got some equipment I'm trying out. Things aren't really working as well. So, I filled in wherever I could up in the production room, working some sound cues and some, lighting cues, and I had myself a blast. There's just something about it that I absolutely loved, to be honest. You know, and it really killed a lot of time. I had a great week and it made it worth it. Appreciate him tossing my name in there under credit in the credits, but his productions, his theater productions get put into a video, kind of edited together, and they get published to YouTube and whatnot. And so you guys could check that out. It's a dinner with a few sides of drama. Hopefully, their intent is to bring that back here in the next few years and do that again. But wonderful, great people. Great cast members. Got a chance to talk and really have conversations with them, and they're just a great group of guys. And I know Enlightened Studios are already back at it. I believe the upcoming production is in February. Grassroots. I've already talked to him. I'm going to work on trying to be a part of that team in the production side of things. Again, just hands on learning about the sound, how everything operates. I always believe knowledge is key. Opportunity presents himself, and so I can't wait for that one coming up here in February. But like I said, back to dinner with a few sides of drama. Just wanted to give him a big shout out. Them, the cast members, the team, everyone that put their countless of hours into getting that just for a weekend. It was up there in Fairfield, Liberty. I want to say, well, I don't, man, Hamilton, I believe, or something like that. It was a pretty far ways away, in my opinion. And when I say far ways away, probably about an hour drive up north. Went up there a couple times, was up there way in advance. You still had a couple live broadcasts, but this was at the time where you know, I jumped on Zoom, got that subscription, and I was like, okay, I can maybe start doing some sort of podcasting again. Maybe it's not going to be a video podcasting because I don't really, I don't know. I want to have a solid, background. I don't have that anymore. Kind of just how the space is for the living room, in my little work area. It's kind of died down to, you know, only happening. I've had kind of cornered myself in a desk. So, um, I've stopped with that. So there's really no background image here. So, anyways, that's why we just do an audio podcast for you guys. It's more just a chilled, laid back. Um, and but if it wasn't for Terry wanting to do these interviews, and I would have never gotten Zoom. I would never have learned being able to just start opening it back up podcasting right now again. So it's funny how things work out here and there on the time frames, and I have to thank Terry at Enlightened Studios, this production, for kind of giving me that push to get back into sports podcasting. So definitely appreciate it. Go check them out. It's on their YouTube channel. I have posted it up on the TNC Sports Talk Facebook page. I've shared it, liked it. I encourage you guys to do that. Do that as well and check out their that full clip. I think it's about an hour long, so not too bad. Um, man, I am struggling early on here in on a Monday. All right, let's get down to some sports conversations. We'll have plenty of time to talk about uh Thanksgiving dinners. I was interested in seeing, I know kind of talk about it's not sports related, but over the next few days, just kind of think what you guys are thankful for. And, I just explained one of my things that I'm thankful for. But I want to hear what you guys are thankful for this year, whether it is the Dodgers winning the World Series, the Reds going to the playoffs, maybe the Bengals just winning a football game here and there for the rest of the season. Maybe it's the return of Joe Burrow that we are expecting to see this Thursday on Thanksgiving. Um, I'd encourage you guys to head on over to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube page, and in the community chat, let me know what you guys thankful for this Thanksgiving. Maybe I'll share some of the answers. What do you guys respond here on our channel later on this week? But this is kind of that exclusive time of the year where sports talks are just kind of they're here, but we want to make ways for other things as well. So, it was kind of another tough week here for Bengals fans. We lost to the Patriots that are now, first of all, the Patriots, let's give them credit. They are currently undefeated on the road this season. They have moved to 10-2, holding down their fort in the AFC East. And we lost 26-20. And we given ourselves some opportunities to make a comeback and take the lead, and we lose a lead, and we made some mistakes. They've made some mistakes, but we made some bigger mistakes that ended up costing us. And I'm gonna be honest, I trying to maybe hopefully stay positive in this category, but we didn't look too bad out there. Okay. And to have a good team, a possible MVP caliber like Drake May, we didn't have Trey Hendrickson, we didn't have Jamar Chase, we didn't have Joe Burrow. Okay. And we were able to hang in there against the Patriots and only hold them to 26 points. I think it's impressive. And I'm not saying that it's the solution to the Bengals. I'm not saying that that's how the rest of the season is going to play out, although I hope. But it's one of those days where it's frustrating because we have a really good performance by our defense, and we still can't pick up a victory. And I know maybe 26 points is not a good day, but for what the Bengals have struggled so far this season, 26 points is a solid day for our defense to allow. So we lose. Our woes continue. We move to 3-8. It's not so much anymore about making it to a postseason, contending for a wild card opportunity. I believe a lot of those options are out the window, even if we win the rest of the season, which would only make us 9-8. I would like to see the Bengals have a winning record. And I know we're heading into Thanksgiving, but the only thing that I don't want to see out of the Bengals this year is finish in last place. And we are now tied with the Cleveland Browns, who won, by the way, on yesterday, 24-10. Sheduer Sanders beat the Raiders. And so the Bengals and the Browns are 3-8. We currently have the better record than them because we have beaten them so far this year. Game 1 of the season where we honestly should have lost. We're also 3 games back of first place as the Ravens took over the division over the weekend as they beat the Jets 23-10. The Steelers lost to the Bears 31-28. So the Ravens and Steelers sit at a 6-5 record, but the Ravens currently hold that number one spot. And so, man, like I say, so no matter how well we can even play, no matter who's on the field or not, we still are unable to pick up a victory. And at this point of the season, it becomes a numb factor to me. I don't know about you guys, but I feel a little numb. I feel like we've been going over this, and to try to squeeze any ounce of hype left into this season and try to stay positive, it's pretty hard to do so when our records indicate that, we're practically eliminated from the postseason. Now, yeah, we have our division in the AFC North. We're just 3 games behind. If Steelers' woes continue, if we can find a way to beat the Ravens 2 games, I'll put us 1 back behind the Ravens. And so, yeah, with some miracle, the Bengals still do have a slight chance. Not even thinking about a wild card spot. But I mean, if you're trying to hang on to any of those hopes, the real test is going to come up this Thursday, because the conclusion of this is that we're expecting to see Joe Burrow make his return from his injury. Joe Burrow is slated to play Thursday night on Thanksgiving when the Bengals visit the Ravens to clash in the AFC North showdown. It's been nearly 3 months. Zac Taylor officially announces this earlier today that he anticipates Burrow playing for the first time since he underwent the surgery following a grade 3 turf toe injury that was sustained back in week 2. Let's remember, I'm going to remind you that Burrow returned to practice 2 weeks ago, limited capacity, and was at full capacity during the Bengals' first 2 practices last week. Obviously, we know, what Joe Burrow brings to the table. We know how much he wants to be out there on the field. And I think as a fan, how much we want him out there on the field. And I know over the past month, 2 months that I've, done podcasting and I've published episodes, I've spoken before how I do not think it's a wise decision to throw Joe Burrow out there at the state we are at. Said this last week. If we lose the last 2 games, which we did, we came off the bye and lost 2 games, and I thought we should have won at least one of them. I would say let's not throw Joe Burrow out there, but it's kind of hard because, when you're down by a field goal or you're even down by a touchdown with 2 minutes to go, I'm sure Joe Burrow, as long as any other quarterback out there, wants to be on the field. Right? So we're expecting to get Joe Burrow back coming up here this Thursday. It's a short week. Probably does some justice for Joe Flacco, who probably needs a week off. He's been banged up, and he's still been holding down that fort, right? But the hopes are slim. So what are we playing for? I would still like the Bengals to finish off with their winning record. Now, I understand that means that they would have to win the rest of their games. They got 6 games left on that schedule. 2 of them are against the Ravens. Then you got the Bills. Then you got Miami, Arizona, and then Cleveland. If anything's possible with these Bengals team, is that with Joe Burrow behind calling the plays, you're saying, hey, look, anything is possible and we could have a winning record. Now, let me remind you, coming up on Thursday, we are expected to have Jamar Chase back. T. Higgins is out with concussion protocols. I don't know the status of Trey Hendrickson, and he hasn't been in a game. He's been dealing with a hip injury, and he hasn't played in the last month of football. Could we see Trey Hendrickson back? I don't know. It makes it hard when you are paying this, your top defender extra dollar amount, and he's not playing and providing support to this team. But, I can't even focus on next year. I'm just trying to salvage and enjoy whatever's left that the Bengals do have to offer. Because I got to be honest with you. My wife was sitting there. We're watching the game yesterday. And it's, it was, it's a close game by a touchdown or so. And I'm just like, I'm interested. I'm invested. And, she's just kind of over to me. It's like, they're losing. Let's just turn the channel. I mean, there's no point. And, if they're getting shut out by 20 points in the third quarter, I say, yeah, let's turn that channel and let's just give up. But, to be honest, it's right there, right? It's, it's a closer game. And, I think we're all just kind of sitting on our edge and hoping for that win and excited if we do. And then just back to, slumpish old, Saturday afternoon if they don't. What's, I think for me, and I'll have to sleep on this, but I think this is what's going to get me, is that the Bengals play on a Thursday. Now, as much as I love it, it's Thanksgiving. Normally I just turn on whatever football game is and I go about my day. I'm cooking Thanksgiving dinner. But now, we come down to the 8:15 game is that, all right, for one, everyone, you don't have my undivided attention on Thanksgiving because I'm watching the Bengals. Compared to if they were playing on a Sunday or Monday, you had something to look into. Thanksgiving is already full enough. Sunday, you already have something looking for. You have something to look forward to for the back end of the weekend. So, we'll see what happens. But man, it's just another tough one. But we, if we're expected to see Joe Burrow back, regardless, I just think it would be great to see him back on that field and know that he's okay. He's 100%. And hopefully, maybe that they could possibly pull away a victory against the division leader Ravens. Anything is possible. We could see that happen. Coming out of the AFC North, I didn't want to bring up Sheduer Sanders, who made his start back last. He actually entered in midway through week 11. And then he started against the Raiders. And the Browns beat the Raiders 24-10. Sheduer Sanders threw for 209 yards, and that included a touchdown pass. And, I've heard some mixed signals about Sheduer Sanders. Now, I'm not saying that Sheduer Sanders is the future or the solution that the Browns need. I think he has a long way to go to prove to himself. But we're taken back to the beginning of the season where the Browns picked up Joe Flacco. Then they draft Dylan Gabriel, and then they drafted Sheduer Sanders at the very end. And we've seen some crazy stories where, the end of the draft year, those bottomless guys are the guys that you look out for to be big time stars. Tom Brady's one of them. And so now I guess the question is, what do you do with Sheduer Sanders? Well, the original idea was to have Joe Flacco start the season off opening up this year. right? He did his job, right? And now you turn to halfway, through the first half of the season, you moved on from Joe Flacco. You turned to Dylan Gabriel, and you wanted to give him a couple weeks, right? Give him his fair share, give him an opportunity to make a name for himself. And regardless of, listen, if it worked, you keep rolling with it. If it didn't, which that's what it looks like, you move on to your next option. This is why you picked up Sheduer Sanders. I feel like it's only fair, whether or not you like him on or off the field, whether or not he causes drama or he's a little kid, whatever you want to say about him, you got to give him his fair share the rest of this season. You got to give Sheduer Sanders the opportunity to go out there for the next 6 weeks, rain or shine, I don't care, and let him fall on his face or pick this team up. Because wouldn't it be something if you're the Browns or for Sheduer Sanders to come in and take the next 6 games from in their season and finish this thing off 9-8? Look at that for a second. The Cleveland Browns, okay, they have coming up here this weekend, they're San Francisco, Tennessee at Chicago, home to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and then in Cincinnati. It would probably be an argumentative statement if Sheduer Sanders could pull away with the winning record to finish off the year. Well, he already has 1 win under his belt against the Raiders. You're facing a couple of tough teams here. 49ers is one of them. The Chicago Bears is another one. I don't know where Buffalo or Pittsburgh's going to sit at here at the end of December. You would like some revenge back against Cincinnati. But the ideal is that you have, it's a no, you can't get any worse than you already, are now. And you have to find out if you need to go back to the drawing boards next April and pick out another quarterback, or if you could possibly run with some more molding or shaping from either Sheduer Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, or you got to go out and pick up a free agent quarterback this offseason. That is what I would honestly look into. This isn't about Sheduer Sanders was not perfect, but it was a better performance than he had at the end of the Ravens game. Was it complicated for Sheduer in his first NFL start? He took some deep shots, mixing quick throws out to Harold, Fenton Jr., Dylan Sampson, Myles Garrett, so on and so forth. Sanders finished with 11-20, 209 yards, and a touchdown and an interception given. Becoming the first Brown quarterback to win his first NFL start since 1995, back when Deion Sanders was 28, already a 4-time All-Pro, and in his 7th season in the NFL. So here's the thing. Kevin Stefanski, after the game, in a non-comical about Week 13 starter, But on Monday, the Browns coach announced Sanders will start again on Sunday against the 49ers. Here's the truth. Sanders shouldn't just start again against the 49ers. He should start the rest of the season. Let's talk about why. It has less to do with Dylan Gabriel, but giving a third, and the team's third round pick, and everything to do with the Cleveland needing to find out exactly what Sanders made of. Draft 2 rounds later with two first round picks in 2026. The Browns almost certain to take a quarterback this spring, unless they could determine if Dylan Gabriel or Sanders can prove to be the next Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins, late round gems who turned into long-term stars. I absolutely support that idea. I think it's only justice. You could worry about the off-field, shaping, and you could focus about, the it's in big pieces. Maybe next year you focus on one quarterback, but you got as the organization for the Cleveland Browns, you got to have a clear understanding where your organization lies with this quarterback. You can't make any progress without finding who your quarterback is. So you've already given Dylan Gabriel the opportunity. Now you got to give Sheduer Sanders. Like you said, you can't get any worse. You're already at the bottom of the division. But and if Sheduer Sanders proves himself, you have going into the offseason another decision. Do we go back to the drawing boards this year with 2 first round picks in 2026? Or do we stick with Sheduer Sanders and try to build around him? Or maybe we go to the free agency and see what a quarterback is out there. I don't know. What do you say? But I go back to the original state. I go back to really painting you this picture. That is that the AFC North currently has the Ravens at 6-5, leading the division. They have the Steelers right behind them with a 6-5 record, a 3-8 Bengals team with a 3-8 Browns team. And with Joe Burrow coming back this Thursday, with the Steelers still struggling with Aaron Rodgers banged up and he was out last week, kind of on that downhill spiral. Maybe Joe Burrow could turn things around for the Bengals. Maybe Sheduer Sanders is the missing link for the Browns. I know that a lot of that is prematurely stated, but it is out there. Trying to find some positives, man, out of this AFC North. I'm struggling to do so. We'll take a look at the NFL Week 12 here later on this week. But to wrap up our show, I want to go ahead and jump into the John Cena's Last Time Is Now tournament. As some developing news I discovered earlier this morning is that Sheamus has been removed from the tournament. He won in the first round. And he is being replaced by The Miz in the quarterfinals match due to an injury. And it's kind of a bummer. My fan favorite heading into this tournament was Sheamus. I believed he was going to go on to December 13th, and John Cena was going to pass that Grand Slam champion torch off to him. But apparently that opportunity is going to have to wait. It's kind of weird because we just saw him a week ago in a 6-man tag match with Rey Mysterio and John Cena taking on the Judgment Days, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dominic Mysterio. So the Miz has slipped right into the spot. He'll be facing LA Knight this Friday. Jey Uso will take on Rusev this Friday in the qualifying match. Tonight on Raw, Solo Sikoa will take on Penta, while Gunther will take on Carmelo Hayes. So if you're not into spoilers, because I know I may get some responses to this. SmackDown for this Friday was taped in Colorado, and they've already completed the quarterfinal matches on SmackDown. So I already know the results for LA Knight versus The Miz and Jey Uso versus Rusev. I am not going to reveal who won those matches and who will advance to the semifinals. But I like the fact that The Miz has been given another opportunity. I think, in my opinion, John Cena is the one to thank. The Miz is to be thanked for The Miz to be put onto the map. I don't believe that if he never faced John Cena at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, then you wouldn't have those segments and don't have the popularity that The Miz has now. Rusev is still another fan favorite to me. Gunther, who is competing against Carmelo Hayes tonight, is a fan favorite. And I think maybe Solo Sikoa could be a fan favorite, but that's coming up here on Raw tonight. Next week, December 1st and December 5th, that's a Raw and SmackDown. The semifinal matches will take place. The finals, and who we will discover who will be facing John Cena December 13th at Saturday Night Main Event in Washington, D.C. On December 8th, where the championship match, where the final match will take place. So we have a busy week. It's a short week, like I've talked about. I'm doing a podcast today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. But we have Thanksgiving football, 3 matchups coming your way here. I think it's the Packers and the Lions is the first kickoff. I'm going to verify that right now for you guys. We have, the Packers and Lions at 1 o'clock, followed by the Chiefs and Cowboys at 4:30, and then the Bengals and Ravens at 8:20, followed by a SmackDown on Friday night. We have, I believe, the final week of NCAA college football taken away, as well as we see Ohio State taking on Pittsburgh, San Diego State taking on New Mexico, Kentucky taking on Louisville. And I'm sorry, that's Michigan, Ohio State basketball. Ohio State's taking on Michigan this Saturday at noon. And at 3:30, Cincinnati's taking on TCU. And then we also have Saturday night, we will have the Survivor Series available on ESPN Plus. I know I'll be watching that. That'll be live in San Diego. And then we have football for the rest of the weekend. It's a busy weekend. It's just kicking off into the holidays. It's so much to talk about. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Wherever you guys are listening to your podcast at, I want to thank you guys for making our podcast something you tune into, listening to. Like you said, I want to give a big shout out to Enlightened Studios, Terry and the crew over there, for providing me that opportunity to help out with that production called Dinner with a Few Sides of Drama that is available right now on their YouTube page. Type in Dinner with a Few Sides of Drama. The link will be attached to my description below. And if you guys want to get involved into the comments, leave your opinions. I will share them on our podcast here every episode by heading over to our TNC Sports Talk YouTube page. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button while you're there. Have those notifications on so you don't miss a single episode of anything that's happening. I was just I was creating that list this morning, what my agenda has for the NFL Week 13. And I was like, man, I got 1, 2, 3, because you have 3 Thanksgiving games. You have the Bears and Eagles at 3 o'clock Friday, and then 1, 2, 3 on Sunday. That's 8 football games in 1 week. It's like, boy, I better get going. I don't think I can really even get started with any of that until tomorrow. So I really got to get all of that going today or tomorrow, and then work on getting that stuff done by before Thursday, because I got the Bengals and Ravens game on Thursday. I got to be able to publish. So that's that's my conundrum that I have to deal with on our channel. So I got a very busy task ahead of me this week. Got to get started early, hopefully. So I can't wait. But anyways, we will be back again tomorrow to talk more sports, cover different stories. Got some baseball. We'll get you go up to date on baseball and all those transactions. Some trades are happening, man. So we will learn about more, talk about that stuff coming up tomorrow. Getting you guys ready for Thanksgiving, an early week here. Up until next time, my name is Justin. You guys are listening to the TNC Sports Talk. You guys have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.